Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. We are back with another video. This one is something about Malaysia. I don't know nothing about Malaysia, but I have a friend who's from Malaysia, and he was telling me to check out stuff about Malaysia. So where else to start but with the history of Malaysia in 12 minutes. It's actually 12 minutes and 57 seconds, so that's a lie. But yeah, because I've been like looking at countries to go visit and possibly live in the future time. And he was saying Malaysia, so we'll see. Maybe Malaysia will be on my vacation list. Here we go.
History of Malaysia is as interesting as the nation's geographical form. From BC times to modern day, Malaysia has been a place of immigration, colonization.
How is it here? And there's a giant ocean, and it's also here. That doesn't make any sense.
Wealth, nationalism, trade, and so much more. Positioned right above the equator in two land masses separated by a span of the South China Sea, and boasts a population of roughly 32.7 million.
Okay.
But where did it all begin?
This video is brought to you by
No, it's not. There ain't no sponsors here. Get out of here.
Join a community
No.
and
No.
below. Click our
How long is the sponsor?
Exactly.
Okay.
While we do not know exactly how long ago human life came to the region, we do know that in the 1950s, a human skull was found in the Malaysian state of Sarawak that dates back to around 40,000 years ago. The next hypothesis of when civilization began in the area comes about 10,000 years ago, or 8,000 BC. There is debate as to who these people were or where they originally came from, but some anthropologists speculate that they may have traveled from China, initially to Indonesia, Sumatra, and then Borneo. Either way, these proto-Malays were eventually forced into more remote pockets of the locale as new migrating peoples believed to be the direct ancestors of the modern-day ethnic Malays came in and pushed them out to the north. A few hundred years BC, the influence of both China and India became apparent as trade began with the neighboring territories and the religions of Buddhism and Hinduism made their way into the Malaysia region. The local form of writing also took on a heavy influence from India, with Sanskrit being adopted as the new writing system. When the 7th century came around, the Srivijaya Empire from Sumatra took control of a large part of the contemporary Malay Peninsula, predominantly along the coasts. The ruling trade base.
It's all the coast. What do you mean? It's like an island. You mean along the coast?
Empire gained power and prosperity through their trade success with China and India, which was made easily accessible by their possession of the Malacca.
Wasn't there like, this is probably completely unrelated to it, but wasn't there like a trade thing going on with like India and China that had like opium or something? And he's talking about like sometime in like BC, so clearly that wasn't it, but like, am I wrong? I don't know, I forget.
Strait, giving them easy access to the Indian Ocean from the South China Sea. The Srivijaya Empire's control remained steady until their supremacy peaked and started to decline in the 11th century. By the 13th century, they had lost all reign over the region and were replaced by a new type of monarchy, one run by Iskandar Shah. Prince Iskandar Shah, thought by some scholars to also be known as Parameswara, founded the port of Malacca, which became an integral piece of the Malay territory. By this point, trade between Malacca, the Chinese, Indians, and now Arabs continued to grow, and the Islamic faith spread through the realm. Experts are conflicted as to whether Iskandar Shah or Parameswara actually converted to Islam or not during this time. Either way, many people within the area began to convert, whilst the rulers throughout the Malaysian peninsula dominated trade across the sea between China and India. And
is it a peninsula? You keep saying peninsula. It's weird. I don't know why I'm hearing that. You guys know I just like hear random stuff. I'm just gonna watch the video. I'm tired.
Malay became the new official language. The 16th century brought about a new type of challenge for the existing powers of the region, as Malacca and its surroundings caught the attention of the Portuguese.
Not the damn
Intrigued
Portuguese.
by the trading powers' success.
Man, don't you just hate the Portuguese? I'm kidding. I don't. If you're for some reason a Portuguese watching a damn video about Malaysia, I don't actually hate you. But like, a lot of people do. That's crazy.
And affluence, and led by Alfonso de Albuquerque, the Portuguese successfully captured Malacca in 1511. As Albuquerque told his men, Portugal wanted to seize Malacca because of the opportunities it allowed for Muslims to trade with other nations, which the Portuguese wanted to put an end to, claiming that they would be doing their lord's service. Although Albuquerque's expedition was victorious, the Malaccan Sultan managed to found a new kingdom known as Johor. As this new state grew, it also became an increasing threat to the Portuguese in Malacca. At first, Johor's attempts to retake Malacca were frustratingly ineffective. The Portuguese remained in control, and it was not until the Dutch began to show interest in Malacca that Johor's luck changed for the better. Near the mid-17th century, in a battle that left many dead and followed two previous failed endeavors in 1606 and 1608, the Dutch East India Company, aligned with the Sultanate of Johor, were finally able to expel the Portuguese and capture Malacca for the Dutch, per an earlier agreement made between the two.
Ow. Sorry, someone came in. We're gonna finish the video now. What was the Netherlands doing there?
The Dutch took full authority over Malacca, but left the other Malayan sultanates alone. Johor went on to stand as a leading influence in the region until the assassination of its sultan, Sultan Mahmud, in 1699. After that point, the command of contemporary Johor declined, eventually being overshadowed by a new people within its borders, the Bugis. At first, no significant issues arose until 1777, when a man by the name of Raja Kasil, supported by the Bugis, aimed to take the throne of Johor under the claim that he was the son of the murdered Sultan Mahmud. The presiding Sultan, Abdul Jalil, had taken the place of the late Sultan Mahmud, but was unable to maintain his reign in the face of this unforeseen challenge. Raja Kasil and his adherents took the capital city and chased Abdul Jalil out to the east coast of the peninsula. From his new settlement,
Peninsula.
Jalil established his own court, opposing Kasil's rule, and professed himself to once again be the true Sultan of Johor. In retaliation, Sultan Kasil directed the execution of his rival, and Abdul Jalil was subsequently murdered. Kasil's victory was not.
What is happening in Malaysia? This has been from 40,000 years ago to now, and there's been like what? Well, I guess 40,000 years ago is just like when they discovered a person. But I'm going to assume this hasn't stopped for a long time.
Not as sweet as he likely anticipated,
Starting
though,
BC
because shortly
now,
after his
still
adversary
going,
was
at
assassinated,
1700.
the Bugis people began to turn on the remaining sultan. In a complete reversal of favor, they astonishingly aided the son of Abdul Jalil and eventually placed him on the throne, deposing Raja Kasil and securing Bugis' dominance in Johor. During the same century as the unrest in Johor, the economic status of Malaya as a whole was also shifting. With growing trade participation from China, India, and Arab nations, the British were becoming progressively involved in the region as well.
It just keeps going. Now the British don't play around, man. They were taking everything back then.
In the late 18th century, the Brits increased their involvement in the Malayan Peninsula through the British East India Company, going as far
we can't have
as
America,
to seize
we're
the
going
state
after
of
them.
Penang in 1786 and creating a capital, Georgetown, for their new possession.
Georgetown,
focused predominantly on building trade through the peninsula. Britain later seized Province Wellesley in 1800 and set up another trading post at the tip of the landmass in Singapore.
cornered.
Over the next couple of decades, the Dutch and the British both worked to maintain a hand in the affairs of the Malayan Peninsula, leading to the signing of the two Anglo-Dutch treaties in 1814 and 1824 that helped to split up the region's territories between both colonial powers. As part of the latter agreement, the Dutch handed Malacca over to the British. Following these developments, the population throughout Malacca, Province Wellesley, and other Anglo-Dutch controlled territories on the Malayan Peninsula began to skyrocket. Chinese and Indian immigrant workers flooded the region as other power struggles unfolded.
Yeah, where it says like British India up there. I think this was probably around the time where there's that opium. Was it opium? I don't know if it was opium. But I know the British had to do with it, I'm pretty sure. My history's rusty. I don't know.
1821, Siam, or modern-day Thailand, launched an incursion into the Malayan state of Kedah and overthrew its sultan. It took repeated uprisings.
Thailand, you weren't so... Okay, alright. Serious question. If I go... Like, are you guys good now, Malaysia and Thailand? Like, you good now? Because, like, if I go to Thailand, then go to Malaysia, and be like, yeah, I just came from Thailand. Are they gonna be like, excuse me, and then, like spit on me? Or, like, what's going on? Like, am I good? You guys make up or something? Like, please. Please. Malaysia, what happened to you?
For the Sultan to finally be restored to his throne as the Siamese dominion was reduced, leaving Kedah as only a vassal of Siam. Meanwhile, the Brits later took authority of Sarawak in 1841. In 1853, Britain ceased charging duty on all imports of tin, which, along with the Suez Canal opening in 1869, triggered a surge of Malayan exports of tin to Britain. Between those events, the trading post known today as Kuala Lumpur was founded in 1857. Over the next few decades, Britain increased and spread their control throughout the peninsula and outside of it. The region's economy prospered until the Great Depression of the 1930s, at which point exports rapidly decreased and immigration into the Malayan territories had to be restricted in order to combat the level of unemployment. At the start of World War II, Japan invaded the Malayan Peninsula and overpowered the unprepared British troops and quickly occupied the region by the end of 1942.
You know, it's crazy. Earlier, I was going to be like, what's next? Japan or Russia? And it's Japan! Malaysia, I'm sorry for what happened to you. You guys have the craziest character development in any book, movie, show, anything ever. Like, that is insane. You guys have a villain arc story. This is crazy.
Tensions between the native Malays, Chinese, and Indians grew during the Japanese occupation, which lasted until 1945, when the British were able to recapture their Malayan possessions. By 1946, nationalist movements, such as the establishment of the United Malays National Organization, grew enough to prompt the founding of the Federation of Malay.
Yeah, we got peaceful music coming in, so we're good now, right? Please, please. If one more person takes over.
A unity of the formerly British-controlled Malayan states that would go on to gain their independence from the Brits in 1957. 6 years later, in 1963, the British colonies of Sarawak, Singapore, and North Borneo decided to join the Federation, forming the new nation of Malaysia. Though Singapore was originally a part of this coalition, it was pushed out in 1965 due to political disagreements with the Union. In 1969, the young nation faced a state of emergency when violent riots broke out in Kuala Lumpur after a strained election that spring. Celebrations by the winning party were met with counter-protests by the losing party, setting off deadly clashes between the opposing groups and prompting Parliament to be suspended. Finally, in 1971, Parliament was reconvened, and Malaysia eventually adopted a new economic policy that allowed the nation's economy to flourish, eventually growing by a rate of 8% each year. Over time, Malaysia turned itself into a successful industrial country
Good
that
for
is
you.
still prosperous today. And while it continues to grow and face ups and downs as every nation does, it remains independent, productive, and well populated as of 2020.
Don't forget to use
Don't forget to subscribe. Anyways, that is insane. Malaysia, I am so sorry. I did not know that it was this bad. What the hell, bro? You guys gotta be like considered the newest country at this point. Where you're 60 years old. I didn't even know that. Okay. Well, that's insane. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. If you're new here, let me know if you like the video too. Down in the comments, let me know what you want me to see next. Especially if it's anything to do with Malaysia. I want to know more. And also let me know what to do. Not just like react to, but like do. Like I could go outside and do something. Like my legs work. I mean, kind of. You see the, I think you see the crutches in the back. If you do, I've been injured. But they kind of work now, you know. Anyways, subscribe. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Goodbye.